Hey guys, this is Austin
Hi.
Miller. Welcome back to Gray Area's Artist Spotlight. Today we have the one and only Tara Brooks. She's a purveyor of top shelf vibes with her very eclectic sounds throughout her sets. She's run the series of festivals all throughout the country, all throughout the world. And Tara, we're excited to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to lead off with, trying to figure out, how did music make its way into your life in its earliest stages? Not just house music, I'm talking just music.
Music. Well, my mom and my dad are both, it kind of runs in our blood. They're both very musical. My mom sings, plays piano. My dad plays guitar. That's definitely what brought them together. And my sister and I, we just grew up singing, and my mom's from New York, so she was always going to Broadway shows and musicals. Stuff today I'm not maybe so much into, but she used to have Beatles records. There's always some sort of records playing in the background and just always humming to some tune. So just from the very beginning, and my grandmother, my whole family were just super musical.
Oh, that's great. And having a musical background, it really provides a space just for open expression too, which is really cool as a young kid.
100%. And I think what's funny is today, I never knew at that age of course, like what I'm going to do when I grow up. I knew it would be something artistic and creative where I can express my emotion through something in the arts. But I just thought it was interesting that my mom, a long time ago, she gave me, today I said to her, gosh, if I would have only taken piano lessons and be as great as you, it would have helped me so much in the studio, because I'm very lucky to have a natural ear. So I can kind of just, kind of teach myself and play things by ear, not just by this note, that note, whatever. And I just would, if I would have had that experience, I feel like I would be moving a lot quicker. And she said, Tara, I did get you lessons, but you hated them. And what's funny is, I think just like in life, if you have even something you might be interested in, it's all about the teacher. If your teacher is boring, you're probably not going to be so engaged. So I think it's just about connecting with the right person who's going to open that door for you.
Absolutely. Just having, and I do, like, I'm a coach myself actually.
Oh, nice.
And I am a firm believer in, you could have 20 people telling you the same thing in 20 different ways. As long as one person tells you in a way that clicks, or one person conveys the message, conveys the lesson in the way that clicks, that's all that matters.
100%. Yeah. And I also think, my parents were never one to push me into things. They're very open-minded. They really just wanted us to go to school and to, find our own success, but really just be creative and, find your own passions. But, there's a part of me that kind of, that having that push into it was great. But, as a kid, you're kind of like, if your parents want you to do it, you're thinking, oh, therem I'm probably not going to enjoy it.
It's
So
the
there's
last
a little
thing you want to do.
yeah, there's that little bit of rebellion. But, the good thing is today, we all have our different ways of learning. And, as much as I am not fluent in piano like my mom, it's something now that we can share together today, because she loves to come and teach me a couple things. So it's fun.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. Now, how did that transition into dance music? How did dance music get introduced to you? I always love this
Well,
story. This is always such a good story from everybody that I ask.
I know it's super, it's funny because my memory for the amount of traveling and everything I've gone through, it's always when someone said, what was your first rave? And I'm just like, but I think it was just, I'm from LA. And I went to school in San Diego, but at an early age, I think I was starting to go to How Sweet It Is and a bunch of raves. So kind of undergrounds and warehouses, and I don't even know the names of half of them, but let's just say, when you're exposed to ecstasy, then
Oh, yes.
all of a sudden,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
just to be real, you hear it, you open your ears and eyes and everything just kind of opens up. So, I was definitely exposed to a lot of the early, for me, the raves when I was underage, and just kind of having my mind blown, these fun theme parties and just really weird experimental music I'd never heard before. And that was kind of the vibe that opened the door.
That's awesome. And no, you hit the nail on the head. Like, as soon as that, as soon as, that that kind of like nutshell is kind of cracked open for the first time, and you just experience this rush of emotion. That rush of emotion gets tied to that music, and it forever stays with you. And it's not something that you just forget. Like, you're able to kind of tap into it every time you hear the music after that. And it's like a little memory, kind of almost like an emotional memory that's tapped into every time you start hearing that music. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that falls in, that's pretty on brand with a lot of, with the first rave for a lot of people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, when did you realize that you wanted to get into the mixing side of it? When did you just go from fan to to a contributor?
Okay, so fast forward going to raves and random weird parties, flyers, and going somewhere where you have to work for it, that
Mhm.
address. And then once you get there, it's like a phone number and this is
Yep.
all these
Yep.
things. So, I moved to San Diego for school, and I was working in the service industry. So I was working at bars and clubs, doing VIP hosting, promoting. So I was kind of in the industry of, nightlife
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
restaurant nightlife. So,
Mhm.
that kind of just, when we got off of work, there was all these, there's not a huge scene in San Diego at that time, I guess, but there was definitely within walking, there's clubs and bars. And, so I'm starting to hear all of this house music. And, as early on, I was exposed to a lot of San Francisco house, Chicago, and then so that side of the spectrum of genres. And then there's also Sasha Digweed, progressive trance, like old school stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I started just going out with friends and, experiencing this rush of I'm partying, this community, just love to dance. And yeah, just that's how it all started. And then I actually was married pretty early on
Okay.
when I graduated college. So I already had this, magical feeling of this music, and this feeling just makes me super happy. I feel very comfortable. I don't feel like I'm being like judged in this. It just felt very open. And that
Yeah.
was good for me to just be able to express myself and feel safe, I guess.
Yeah.
And we can't sit here and say all these environments are, but that's the feeling I had. So after I connected with my ex-husband, he actually had a DJ set up at home, and he played vinyl just for his passion. He was actually a Navy SEAL, but just
Okay.
on this on the side for his passion was, that's how we connected. Because
Yeah.
when I was working, I met him, and it was always about music. So I would go with him to the record stores, and we would just dig for records for hours. And I never actually mixed them. I was just playing them for
Mhm.
fun because I was just falling in love with, and I knew nothing. I didn't know all these artists, who was what. All I knew is what I liked and what I didn't like. And I love that feeling of not having this pretentious, oh, what's the next trends, like what's the top 10. It was all about digging through white labels and, oh, I like the cover of this record, to find like, all the songs that I love. So, when things got a little tough, I was super young, married, and
Mhm.
people go through things and you're kind of wondering, what am I doing with my life? I'm graduated, kind of working still in the service industry. So when things were tough, I just said, I'm buying these records, and you're playing them. I think I need to start a hobby, because I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just, when things were kind of tough and I was going through confusion and feeling a little hurt, and just, what am I going to do next? I just started playing all these records. And
Yeah.
then, it's the type of thing, one thing led to another. I mixed two of my favorite records together, and the feeling that it gave me, like, it was the first time in a long time I felt just pure joy and happiness. And there was no stress or worry. I didn't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's when I knew. And that was the first time I'd actually mixed properly, when I didn't really know what I was doing.
Mhm.
And that feeling, and having that third, beautiful mix, that third record creating, that you might never even see again.
Yeah.
That feeling was everything. And so I just had to keep going, and I never wanted to turn back. So that's how it all got started.
That's awesome. Do you remember what those first two records were?
I actually do. It was In My Arms, by Milo versus Tokadisco,
Okay.
and Deep Dish Dreams.
Wow. Okay.
And I actually tattooed long time ago Dreams, which is the name of the record. And it
Yeah.
was just kind of a motivator to, don't forget this feeling. You can get excited over things, and then you kind of get back into your routine. And I said, don't ever, this is what you have to do, because it made me so happy. It was so healing. And I knew that if it's doing this for me, what could it do for other people? So
I love that you just said that. I remember my first my first memory of like first festival ever was seeing like 10,000 people all in one place for the sole purpose of listening to music and having a great time while doing it.
I love
And
it.
I left that festival thinking, man, how can, like, I know the feeling that it just gave me. I would love to give this feeling to as many people as I possibly could. That would be an incredible existence. So I know exactly what you're talking about. That's really cool.
I love that.
Now, kind of get over the years, you've gotten to kind of refine your sound, but it's a very eclectic sound. You don't really just fall into one category or another. You really like to span the spectrum here. And especially like I just listened to your Giabi's Femme House radio set.
Oh,
By the way,
awesome.
so good. You
Thank you.
freaking killed it.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
and even just within that one set, you're spanning these kind of cosmic melodic house sounds, this deep dark techno that you dig into, and like everything in the between. And it's really refreshing to hear that kind of myriad of sounds. Do you find that there's a particular sound that you tend to like gravitate towards, or like a steady source of inspiration that continuously calls to you?
Yeah, 100%. And first of all, I love the fact, thank you for listening to that. And, I think it's so refreshing to hear when people that might have known my sounds from long ago, they just come along for the journey. And I would have to say it's a little bit scary. I've always been a little bit of a weirdo and a little bit risky and experimental.
Weirdos
But
are the best people. It's
I
okay.
know, right? I'm okay with it. I accept it after all these years. But I think what's great is, you know, while it's one thing to have that sound, you're in this safe zone. So people will book you. They know you. They always know what they're going to get, and even when it's awesome, they're like, "This is what we want." With me, they're kind of like, I feel like I've gotten to the place where they don't exactly know what they're going to get, but they know it's going to be me. They can always hear me in it. So I love the fact that you heard all those sounds and somehow, I don't know fucking how, but it somehow flows and makes sense. So even though I'm going from this, ambient, ethereal, hypnotic, deep techno, and then all of a sudden we're going into some dark disco indie shit, like I just feel like somehow the journey makes sense. And that's just because I'm so emotional and sensitive that, I feel like, especially when I'm playing live, that's just kind of, I go off the crowd. And so they're the ones that really drive the direction I go. I don't really know where I'm going because without them, I'm just going to be, doing my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really just a collaboration with the energy in the room.
And I feel like that probably ties back into like that just natural ear that you were mentioning, that you kind of like to champion a little bit. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure. And then as far as, sorry to get off from the question, but
No, not
yeah,
even.
I guess with the, just evolving those sounds, I think I'm the type of person too, that as soon as I get bored or something becomes very trendy, and maybe if it delivers a pretentious vibe or a vibe that's not really in my flow, that feels
Mhm.
really natural, I feel like things start to sound generic. And so if everybody's doing it, that's awesome. And I don't, whatever everyone else wants to do, that's great. But for me, I just start to get bored. And if I get bored, it doesn't mean I don't love and appreciate that music. I just think, well, what else? Like I need to just keep evolving and growing and experimenting. So I'm just grateful that everybody has been so supportive. And I have to admit, it's taken a long time to get to the place where I accept that not everybody is going to love what I do. I mean, that's kind of hard, right? You just want everybody to like you. And I think it's finally just getting to a place where, like, you know what? Not everyone's going to like this, but that's okay.
That's
And
okay.
that's okay. And some are going to prefer one thing over the other, but, how are we going to grow and evolve if we don't just try everything?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's,
And I love that, dude. And you kind of you touched on something, it's always, you can hear that it's always it's always Tara Brooks. And I think that's really cool because there's this authenticity to it, this authenticity to the direction, like you're saying, that you're going, that if something is feeling generic or doesn't feel like it's really, coming from this evolved, growing version of you, that it's maybe not the most authentic version of yourself. And I to me at least, authenticity is such a magnetic thing. I think people and listeners also have this innate kind of radar almost for authenticity, whether they're able to pinpoint what it is or not. But some people might identify it as just, oh, this just seems like a genuine human or something like that, or this seems like an original sound. I think what it is it's the authentic expression of yourself. And I think that that's kind of just shining through. And I think that's probably something that's carried you throughout, or at least throughout your career, that's probably helped you continue to excel.
yeah, I love that you said that. And I think that if if so for the people that have listened to me and they continue to support and show up, I feel like they're very sensitive like me. So they're gonna, when I, the music that I play, I feel like it's going to deliver some sort of emotion, some sort of feeling. And so it's not just kind of risk-free dance floor stuff that, hey, it would be fun. Sometimes that's, you can go to Space Terrace and it's like this dope, such dope music, but it's also this groove that you could just dance for like 10, 20 hours. And you don't have to think so much. You can just like really just have a beautiful time. And there's, of course, obviously at Space, there's so much, but it's just in that groove of like beats that are just cruising. And so for me, I just feel like the people that I think listen to me kind of want to hear something fucking weird or out there, and I love that they're just open-minded. So if they're liking what I'm doing some reason, they are, chances are they're sensitive and they're going so they can hear something different, and just just kind of just have their minds just really open. Like they want to leave taking something, not just like, oh, I don't remember the music from that night, but I did have a good time.
Yeah.
They want to, they want to leave with like, what was that? And
Yeah.
that's a part of me that's really important, because I know when I go out, I want to leave like I just saw Fortet and Floating Points for the
Oh my
first time
gosh, was it
ever.
amazing?
So amazing, so amazing. I've been following his production for a long time, really inspired by it, definitely a big influence on me today.
Mhm.
But that's the type of stuff that I remember, and I'm going to walk away with like every other track, from break beats to like some weird trippy acid techno with like ethereal hypnotic, just everything was just makes you think and feel.
Yeah.
And you know what, it's okay when you don't want that. It's okay when you go to the club and you're like, I just want to let go. I just want good vibes and dance. And that is beautiful as well. But that is for me at least. And I hope to continue to step into that place where people, feel that way about me and what I'm putting out, because it's definitely not easy to take these risks, because not everybody's going to understand it. Some people, it took me a long time to not just listen, but really feel this music that maybe 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I would have been like, what is, I'm not probably interested in that.
Yeah.
And it took stepping into that place of owning it and saying, I love this. I don't want to be afraid to play it. I'm gonna fucking play it. If it's on the USB, play it. And if they don't like it, that's okay. But like, let's have this experience and try it out. Let's take this journey, this together, and see how it goes. So that's kind of where I am, I guess, with the experimental stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're sharing like what you feel and what the crowd feels. And just like you're saying, it's not the music it makes you feel. And that's the thing. It's not just this one, like, it's not just banger after banger after banger and jumping up and down all the time. Like you said, it's okay if it is, and it's okay if that's what you want. But like you're saying, in your sets, you really like to span not the spectrum of just the spectrum of sounds, but the spectrum of emotions too, which I think is really, really cool. And it's like you're saying, not everybody might, or maybe not everybody might be into that, but I think people who have garnered the ability to listen attentively and like go into it with like intentional listening, if that makes sense, to really like to kind of submit to those feelings and not shy away from, and not like when it gets into those like kind of deeper, darker spots, be like, okay, like what is this? This is kind of weird, but like, oh wow, this is making me feel different things. Okay, this is all right, this is odd, but I'm okay with this. This is making me feel some cool things.
Right.
And I love that. And I love that you don't shy away from that too. That's really cool. I think that shows your evolution as an artist, like you're talking about, that like that maturation as an artist, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's also been a process to, when I started playing some of these new sounds, it's for myself and for everyone else. And that's just like this experimental journey, I guess, knowing that, I think the hard part is knowing that there is people that don't exactly know what I'm doing behind the scenes. So they're going to expect that sound. And so having to be okay with knowing they could be disappointed, that's hard, because you just want it to please everyone. But, there's a long time where it's like, do I play that? The hesitation, it's like holding back. And so, I think it's just been a process, just like everything else, of practicing to let go and kind of say, fuck it, and say, hey, this is me. Don't doubt yourself. So you have to believe that if you love this, then they're going to love this. And not everyone will, but at least believe that and then try it out. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely always a challenge, but you just have to keep pushing yourself or we're going to stay in the same place.
Yeah, I love that. You're so right. And a stagnant place is not the best place to be. We always want to keep elevating, always want to keep growing ourselves. I respect that a lot.
Mm.
So before we get off on another deep tangent, which I am absolutely loving, by the way, but I want to kind of get into some of your festival experiences as a producer. So you've been on the bill for some huge festivals like, Lightning in a Bottle, BPM Festival. You've been on the Playa at Burning Man, Ultra, Coachella, Desert Hearts. The list goes on, and you've hit some incredible events at some of the most top-notch like locations in the country. What is it like being someone who is such a strong contributor to the scene now, or being such a strong contributor to the scene that you fell in love with as a fan years ago? How does that feel now to be someone who is contributing so much to the scene that you fell in love with as a fan so long ago?
It feels like super special, but it also, you know, I don't think there's a day that I'm going out to play that I'm, taking it for granted, where it's just like every time I'm doing something like that, I'm always just grateful. I'm just happy that I have that opportunity, and people are continuing to enjoy what I do. As a fan, just going there to dance and party to let go. I remember how much fun I had. So, to know that I get to I get to experience it from the other side. It's just a really beautiful feeling. I feel like I never would have looked in the past, like seeing myself doing this, but I had a couple of visions. I actually did have some interesting experiences of seeing the future, which is crazy, but
Not
yeah,
at all. Not at all.
it's
I totally get that.
well, yeah, it is, I'm grateful. That's the feeling. I'm happy, and there's no day that I'm going out there that I don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And there has to be a balance between, which again, we probably are all guilty for taking it too seriously. And that can take the joy out of it and the fun out of it. So what's so important is just, having fun, because that's why we do it. And
Mhm.
when we forget to have fun and you're up there and it's so stressful and serious and anxious and all those things. So that makes it harder. So, as for me, the biggest thing is working on that balance of being there and having the best time I can possibly have, and taking it serious, because I care so much and I appreciate them bringing me on to these really special events. But yeah, there has to be a balance.
Yeah. And I think that air of gratitude that you're talking about, I think that is the biggest central point of that balance, like you're talking about. Because when you go about your actions through an air of gratitude, it helps you maintain or it helps you kind of keep maybe some lingering anxieties in check, because you're just happy to be participating in what you're doing. And it also, because that gratitude is there, it also helps you to appreciate the gravity of what you're doing on the flip side of that. So, and like you're talking about, it keeps those things in balance, which is really cool.
And it also kind of keeps your ego in check. Let's be real. Today the egos are out of control, and all of us are guilty, which it's human nature in a way. But I think that just remembering where we started, and we were at once opening the festival, or playing for 10 people, and it's never going to be perfect, and you're not going to have events that are slammed all the time. But yeah, it's just going in there with just remembering, because everyone asks, are you nervous, or how do you feel before your set? And I've never just been there like, yeah, man, I got this shit. Like, never. Even though, if I didn't prepare my music, I could go into any set and just wing it, as in just naturally, because of my experience and just everything I've put into, building up to where I am today. I know in my heart, like, the job that I can do because of the work I've put in. But it's like, when I never go into a set thinking like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I always am excited and happy, but it's a feeling between excitement and anxious, just in between of like, it's anything can go wrong. Anything can happen at any time. And I've had everything in the planet pretty much happen, which is great. I'm so grateful for it, because
Yeah.
if you don't learn to adapt in all those experiences, then how else are you gonna be able to handle it when shit goes down? Because it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
So, so it's just that balance, keeping your ego in check, and always just being, keeping yourself serious, but also with a little bit of fuck yeah, let's let go.
A little bit of confidence goes a long way. A little bit of confidence goes a long way. So on the next on, so you're all clearly an accomplished performer, or an accomplished DJ, but you're also like have really started to come into your own as a producer in like the last like 10 years. So I guess it's not really started. You've been coming into your own and you've been putting out these awesome sounds, and you've been putting them out on a variety of labels like Get Physical, Balance, Desert Hearts, and most notably kind of in the recent years is John Digweed's Bedrock. And I was wondering if you could kind of tell us how that partnership came about, because Digweed, he's been in the industry for a bit himself.
Yes, he has. And it's funny because it's one of those things that, although I would consider myself kind of sensitive to the environment, and it's kind of spiritual, but without being like, oh my gosh, I'm so spiritual, like it's more of the something you don't really talk about. It's just kind of how you feel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's just from very early on. John Digweed was one of my favorite DJs. I've always felt connected to him, his sets, like from the very beginning, before I picked up my first record. John was always someone that really inspired me, and watching him play, it just, in listening to his sounds, and it just, everything was consistent and just really inspiring. So I just knew that one day when I get the opportunity, like I knew I just believed you have to kind of manifest these things too. And I just knew that when I get that opportunity, I've been so inspired by what he's done, and old school stuff. And even today, he's always evolving as well. And I just knew that when I would get the opportunity to open for him, or for him to hear me, it's like the one thing that I said, you know what, he's going to hear me, and then beautiful things are going to come out of it. Because if I can be connected to him in the way I am, then maybe he's just going to he's going to see some of himself in me, or something that he's going to see, he's going to feel what I do, because it just makes sense, like to have this connection. And so it's actually a funny story. It's pretty messed up, but when I got my first opening set in San Francisco at the Great Northern, used to be Mighty, for a Christian set. And so I'm opening for John this night. Now, 3-4 hours before my set, I usually have a little dinner party, and then we all go. And I all of a sudden started not to feel very well. Okay. So I'm just like, I wasn't nervous. I was in that same, I'm comfortable, I've prepared, I'm a little anxious to play, but not like, oh, I'm scared. So there wasn't this like, what's going on, right? So within a couple hours, I am full on sick, flu sick. Like,
oh no.
Like throwing up, like the shivers, just completely. I don't know if it was food poisoning, no clue what it was. I was like, I have 4 hours to get this together, or like, I will never get this opportunity again. Like, I have to make it happen. And, with a lot of friends support, one of them being a nurse, she shot me in the ass with an anti-nausea. Okay. She said, don't drink any water. So I just had this, I'd been like trying to rest and freezing, and just so by the time, I was trying to get ready, my hands were like this. It was so messy. So they got me to the club. I started going into survival mode, knowing that everybody that knows me is like, she's not missing this set. We have to make this happen. Yeah. They had a bucket in the booth just in case. And somehow I just, like the healing magical power of music, when I started to play, I just went into straight survival mode, and I played my set. It was awesome. And one of the things I love about John is that he actually cares. He comes early to hear what you're doing. Can't say that for all the artists. And I know how meaningful it is, when I was doing a lot of opening, for the DJ to come and hear me. Like not just for me, but don't you want to hear the vibe and see where things are? But, just people that are showing up just like right on the dot. It's just like, I'm kind of bummed because we're excited. And I always wanted to, so when I go to the club or whatever, like obviously flights, things don't always allow, but I try to be early so I can hear it. And I know that the openers like super worked hard, and they appreciate that. So that connection there, he heard, I don't know how much of my set, but enough that, I actually was hoping the first thing to come out of it, I really want to do a set on transitions. And literally the first thing out of his mouth was, so great to hear you. That was an amazing set. I'd love to connect you so we can get you on transitions. And
Nice.
yeah, so that was how it all started, that story. And then from then on, everything, the rest is history, I guess. He's been extremely supportive, giving me opportunities to release on the show, do transitions. I did a bunker set and then open for him as much as it makes sense for our schedules. And
Yeah.
it's been pretty awesome.
That's so cool. And being able to kind of help, like, and now with that experience, knowing where you are now, where you've come from, I bet that also has inspired you to like be able to provide the same for other up and coming artists like yourself, like you once were.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm obviously nowhere where John is, but I try to, if I ever meet someone that wants to share something, obviously it's so hard to listen to everybody's music. But when I do go into those short spaces of time where I'm too burnt out to work on my own stuff, I try to invite it. I try to connect with the community because I care, and I was there. I'm still there. So I'm always, I'm still in those shoes, and I want to treat people the way that I, want to be treated. So yeah.
The golden rule, there it is.
Not that hard, right? But it is. So it's a vibe.
Yeah, you'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but dang, the world could use a little bit more of it lately, couldn't it?
Truth.
So, you've been in, so when was your very first release? Could you tell us when your very first release was?
Oh my gosh. To be honest, I can't remember exactly. I'm really bad with dates and years, but I mean, the first, I can't remember the exact year, but it maybe like 2012, 2014. In the very beginning, I was, just the way I learned. I never went to school. I just kind of was self-taught as well as working with friends. So I just worked together in a studio with guys and just kind of watching what they were doing and, just collaborating.
Yeah.
But that was definitely maybe 2012 to 14. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
2012? No,
I
it's all
don't know.
good.
My dates are just so out the window. Like it's the holidays now, and I feel like we're still in like last. I have no idea what's going on with dates, so forgive me there.
It's just fine. No, you're all good. No, I was just checking in because I wanted to make sure. I was about to say, so you've been in the industry now for about a decade, and I just wanted to make sure I had that right.
Well, actually, I've been DJing since 2007.
Since 2007. Okay.
So yeah, so see again, these years just keep rolling
Yeah.
by. And then producing, I would say like around half of that. So something like that. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So okay, so sorry, we're in about 15 years in the industry now, about
Oh my
from when you
gosh.
first set foot in it. But
Wow.
that's a lot of time. And in that time, I imagine you've gotten to see like a lot of change occur like through the scene and through the industry. And I was wondering if you could maybe describe to us maybe not just a particular change, but a general change, or just any change in the industry and scene that has stood out for you in that time.
Well, I think one of the most important things is the fact that how today the amount of women that are being supported, and there's you know who knows what the real reasons, all this like Me Too movement, whatever it is. The point is I believe just like myself, where there's people probably across the world that don't know who I am or never had the chance, that weren't exposed to me. I know that when I'm listening to these badass women's production, I play so many awesome producers, and I'm like most of my favorite are women today. They're incredible, but they just didn't have that outlet. They didn't have that opportunity, and maybe weren't getting the support, in this male dominated industry. So, when I'm discovering them today, it sounds like they've been doing it 10, 20 years, 100%. It's just, we're not seeing them or hearing them. And now more than ever, it's beautiful whether whether the guys were guilt tripped in, or we just had to wake up and kind of get the equality thing going. The point is it's all about the music, and our music is quality. It's not a sex thing. It's like, dude, hey, we have
100%.
boobs. That doesn't change the way the music sounds, like,
Yeah.
come on. So yeah, I would say that's one of the most, I guess, important things I've noticed in the last couple of years for the most part. Yeah. Because it definitely in the very beginning, I was lucky to have these opportunities because I worked in the service industry. So I knew a lot of these bars and stuff like that. And they gave me opportunities early on to practice in their clubs, like during the dinner crowd, whatever it is. I got this chance to be heard and seen, and people knew me. So that was a great help for me. But without, unfortunately, as things started taking off, the treatment that I had, or, I would come up to the booth to come on after the next DJ, and
Mhm.
like guys would look at me like, what are you, like the next go-go dancer or something?
Yeah.
Or, or I would go play the headline set, and
Mhm.
someone would look at me, the guy, like the sound guy would say, okay, well, here's the mixer, here's the, I'm just like, I was like, and by the way, your channels are like backwards, dude. You might want to
Yeah.
fix that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the treatment and the, unfortunately, just them really treating us like we don't know what we're doing. And
Yeah.
that's been a vibe for a long time, having to prove ourselves that we're making our own music.
Mhm.
Or, how did you get there? Tara, how did you get that gig? I'm like, well, the same way this guy got his gig is because of the music, or
Yeah.
maybe about who he knows. But yeah, it was really hard for a long time to always feel that, like, how did she do that,
Yeah.
without it just being like, you wouldn't say that to this guy, whatever, how did you do that? You just, oh yeah, this guy's coming on, so
Yeah.
that was definitely hard, but I think I took all of that treatments and I just made me work harder.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being able to kind of put all that into words and to being able to kind of dig into that a little bit for us. Um, and it's interesting to me because I would think, or one might think that in dance music, like you were saying at the beginning of the interview, how it's such a space that is open for expression, and that it's a safe space for expression for a lot of people, that it would also be like one of the first kind of music scenes that would really be like the most accessible to all people. And so it's curious to see that where it's come, or where it started and where it's going. And it's cool to see that it is going in the right direction, even if it is at a slower pace than we might like. It is tiptoeing into that direction. And so, I mean, better late than never, but it's interesting that, like, for such a safe space of expression, that it's taken this long to get it there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
so
know.
so now, with this experience and where we are now, what's something that you're excited for, or excited about coming up in your career?
So you mean like a particular event, or just?
Um, maybe it is an event, maybe it's a release you might have coming up, or maybe it's a collaboration you have coming up, or even just
Hmm.
something in the scene that you're excited for, or that you're noticing is kind of coming into existence.
Well, I think there's a positive and a negative side of what I'm about to share, and I think definitely looking forward to my events coming up. Rackastella,
Yeah.
DJ Tennis is one of my favorite people in the world. We've become very close over the years, and his music has been extremely inspiring for me. But just the vibe and the sound, their level of attention to detail, it's just such a beautiful experience. So that's something, my second time playing, so I can't wait for that. And then also Departure that they're doing in Playa, it's a Brooklyn Mirage mixed with Pollen. So that's going to be an amazing event. And sorry, what was the other part?
No, you're all good. Or maybe something that you're excited about for in the direction that the music
Right.
scene is going, or that maybe that the industry is going towards.
Right. Well, I'm going to turn the question around, because
Okay.
this is something that I'm not very excited about,
Okay.
but I'm going to learn to adapt to it, because
Okay.
this is what we have to do. So I think might as well. Yeah.
All about that growth, right?
100%. So, I would say it's probably been slowly, gradually getting there over the last couple of years, but the social media
Mm,
influencer. Okay,
mm,
so this has been
mm,
this has been, the most important thing to talk about is this shift is what's happening. And it's really discouraging and sad, I guess, because there's so many brilliant artists that have been doing so well, and working so hard, and it's been all about the music. And little by little, well, maybe in another world it's happening a lot faster, but in my musical world, I'm thinking, oh, everything's so organic, and it just, especially over the last couple of years with like influencer DJ and the bigger numbers on Instagram, like it's really broken my heart. But I've tried to stay super positive that the music, it's not so much about the music right now, to be honest, as much as there's so much beautiful music out there and great artists. But right now the focus is on the shiny things. It's
mm.
on, you know, obviously the bigger DJs, they're in a safe space because they've made it awesome. They're going to keep continue to doing well. And the future generation DJs, they've, you know, learned, they've been born with an iPhone in their hands. And so
Yeah.
they're stuck to the screen, and they're what they, and it's just the culture. It's not anyone's fault. It's just like the way things have developed. And so they're, you know, super savvy in social media and how to look good on camera, how to market themselves, and, you know, and learning how to DJ. It's not mixing two records together. It's pressing a sync button or finding programs, the easiest way to produce. Now I'm all about technology, and I'm grateful for it, because look at us talking right here. Hey,
Yeah.
but you know, it's, for me, I feel like it's taken the heart and soul out of the music, and we're not getting booked for the tracks that we released right now. We're getting, you know, you could possibly have, you know, a ton of tracks on great labels, but if your name doesn't have a certain amount of followers or likes, or you're not looking a certain way, then you're not going to get booked. They don't think you're going to sell tickets, and it's a vibe right now, and it's really, yeah, it's really sad, but it's, you know, and I think I can speak for a lot of artists that have gone through this, because we all talk and we support each other and always trying to help each other out, but we're not alone. Many of us are going through this. And there's unfortunately some people aren't going to adapt to this. They're going to keep doing it their way, because they didn't get in this. Just for me, we didn't get into this so I can, my new job is to market myself and to make myself look super amazing more than I am. Like we got into this for the music, but now the new job is promoting yourself. And I always believe in promoting my events. I am grateful for the bookings. So I love connecting with my community. So I'm a communication major. That's who I am.
Yeah.
But you know, this is just on another level. So that shift of the industry where we are right now is super dangerous, I feel.
Yeah.
And I really, you know, a big part of me wish it would all just disappear. Instagram, like let's go back to the music, the heart and soul, and just like that's all we have. Instead of looking at something, we're listening, you know. So that is a big deal right now. And I think the most important part, what I've decided to do, if you're going to continue to do this, you can't, you know, it's okay. We've all been there, get a little depressed and a little sensitive to what's going on, but it's how you react that's going to determine the future. So part of this shift for me is that I am ready to keep it real, keep it authentic, be me. That's all I know how to do. But I'm also going to adapt to the times, and I'm going to build a team. I've never had a team. I don't have management and all this massive PR, social media, and those are things I was never. I mean, that's not. I don't know anything about that. I just know music.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it's either you get with the program or you are possibly going to vanish.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that, but so instead of letting it scare me, discourage me, say, let me find another job, I never will give up. This is what I'm meant to do. But if you want to be seen, if you want to be heard, you have to have a team and you have to be strategic. So, and I'm just taking all of this information and reaching out to all the people that I love, I've played with, connected, and just trying to build a team. So that's where I am right now. And I'm super stoked. I'm talking to a lot of great people. I have an awesome agent, and, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, us supporting each other and it's all about who you know today too. So the contacts, it's nice to know at least we have the experience and the music and something we believe in. Now we just need that business side of it that I don't know anything about.
Yeah. Well, no, and I always like to say, like, the road to the top is a lot quicker when we help each other up. And so the fact that you're bringing that team, and I really respect that resiliency, or that attitude of resiliency that you're kind of taking towards it, because I totally agree with you. It can be very daunting to grasp the power, good and bad, of social media, and how, like, almost how unfair it can seem sometimes from that aspect, because it is just like it is that marketing tool. It's a very powerful marketing tool, especially for the short-term gratification kind of that society is kind of progressively shifting more and more towards, because everything is at the push of a button right there in your hand, you know. And so that kind of shift away from that patient build, that long-term gratification, which, you know, music at its core and at its being is all about that long-term gratification. You know, in the middle of an extended set, you got to stick it out, and you got to see where the journey goes for the full reward at the end of it all. It's not just that one drop that's amazing. The whole thing is the reward. Like the entire journey that you go through is the reward. And same thing with, the music industry now is exactly like you're saying, that viral hit is enough to get you on the map. But on the flip side of that, once that viral hit is out there, and once it's had its 15 minutes of fame, where then there's always the other shoe that drops, it drops off. And there's, the 90s were a big time for the one hit wonder and all that. And I think now we're seeing a resurgence of kind of that one hit wonder. And now granted, it's on a much larger scale because of social media and all that. So that one hit wonder is still getting like millions and millions of views. But there's that flip side of that lack of substance is the other shoe that drops. And so that's something that I think is really cool about like where you are as an artist, is there is more than enough substance there. And you're now taking the steps to kind of bring that substance into light. And again, to wrap it all up, is that authenticity we were talking about. I think that is something that is capable of shining through on social media, is when people do put out authentic content that really comes from the heart and is coming with a message that they are trying to convey to their followers, to their friends, to their fans. I think that draws in a very loyal fan base, where I think that viral kind of that one hit wonder draws in that immediate like mass view, but the loyalty of that fan base is a very fickle thing. And I think kind of the other side of it is that an artist such as yourself, who does have that substance, who does have that experience, who does have that loyal fan base, with that team behind you that you're building, I think that in the long run that you're going to see a very fruitful return on that.
I sure hope so. And I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's just literally what I've been going through the last couple of months. It's so new for me, but it makes me look back and say, well, hey, I made it this far, and like organically, and knowing nothing about the business side, but it is a business, which is, it is funny because it's music and it's passion, but it is 100%. I've been, like you said, 15 years now, and full times for the last like 9 full time, without any other jobs. And, so it's just something that is always changing and evolving, and you have to be open. You have to always be aware of what's going on. And it is a shame to see some of the most amazing, brilliant artists that get no love, some of my such amazing producers, and they don't know that side of social media, or they choose not to, whatever it is. But it is just, we don't have a choice. And so, well, you have a choice, but if you don't do it, I'm concerned about your future. So I'm excited, because I'm all about working with good people. And I think it's just, making that commitment and being aware that this is what I have to do. I'm okay with it. And as long as I get to be me and keep it real, then let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do this together. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But I definitely am feeling the love. And I know that I know things are going to be okay.
That's awesome. And spoken like a person who has all of the experience to fall back on. Now, with that experience that you have, I was wondering if you might have a piece of advice for any up and coming artists who are, just starting out where you were, those 15 years ago.
Well, I always say that I hope that anyone starting out, the first thing they do is actually learn how to DJ. Like, please just learn how to mix 2 records together.
Yeah.
That's the whole art of it, and what got me into it, and why it is so special, because it's a feeling, and that feeling you can't just get by pressing a sync button. So please learn how to DJ for yourself, even if, no matter how you want to DJ after that, that's fine. Express yourself how, whatever feels best for you, but just learn that part, because it's fun and it's amazing. That's the most important thing. And the other thing is, just be true to yourself, and try not to get blinded by all the lights, and, do it for the right reasons. And if that, unfortunately, like, again, with the whole ego thing, and, everyone's a DJ today. Like, I mean, there's more people that are DJs than not. So great. It's fun. Let's do it. But just keep it real for yourself. Play the music you love. Don't just play what everybody else is playing because that's what's popular.
Mhm.
Just because when you play the stuff that you really love, then I mean that's where the happiness is. No matter where the money and the future and the fame, all that stuff comes, if that's what you're into, I mean, at the end of the day, what is that all going to mean if you're not doing exactly what you really love? So
Yeah.
it's okay to shift and to compliment and to always be open-minded, respectful for your environment, but just keep it real.
I love that. I love that. So I have one more thing for you now. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to have a little fun here at the end. So
Okay.
we have a speed round.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm just going to list off like a couple of questions, like it'll just be really quick and they won't make you think too hard. There might be one or two that make you pause for a second, but we're just going to bang them out real quick. And then after that, the night is
Okay.
yours. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. So first one, ready? House or techno?
Housey techno.
No, house or
I
techno.
know,
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Yeah,
Because
house.
because you're dealing with me, and I'm like a Gemini, which whatever. I'm just always
Are you a
so all over the
Gemini?
place. I
I'm a
am.
Gemini.
Are you?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So when I did see that, I was like, okay. I'm sorry to get one word out of me. Good luck, but I'm gonna just do my best to choose one. But if some blends, it is what it is.
That is
So
it?
so housey techno because
Okay.
I like my techno with some house in it. Okay.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. Club or warehouse?
Warehouse.
Rave or festival?
Ravey Festival.
Rave festival. All right. Digital or analog?
Mm. I prefer analog sounds, but I use more digital.
Okay. Something that you're proud of yourself for?
Never giving up.
Drink of choice?
1942 tequila.
All right.
Soda. You meant
Dream.
cocktail. You meant cocktail, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Dream collaboration?
Quartet.
Oh, that'd be a good one. I would listen to that record. Okay. Dream performance location?
Bali. Surfing is my new thing. So surfing with music is all I really want to do these days.
Nice. And Bali is a prime place to do that.
Bali mixed with Emberlin. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Okay, there you go. Guilty pleasure song?
I can't even. I might have to get back to you on that one. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. We'll come back.
Yeah.
If you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, it's so unfair.
Especially as someone who would dig through crates for hours.
Right. Well, I think the question that you would ask me today could always change in a month. So
Yeah.
we're always growing and evolving. So I would say Taiko's track Japan by what is it? Satin Jacket remix.
Oh, okay. The remix of it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Pretty
tack
dope.
that one on. I don't think I've heard that
Yes.
remix, but I know the
So
Taiko
beautiful.
OG. Very good.
Oh my God, so beautiful.
Okay, lake house or beach house?
Beach house.
Beach house. Okay. Someone hands you the aux cord when you walk in the door of a house party. What song do you put on to get the party going?
DJ Tennis Gordon.
Nice. Okay, now on the flip side of that, the house party's starting to wind down. People are turning in. What song do you put on for the end of the night?
Sabra Cruz, When Life is Slow.
Nice. Okay, guilty pleasure food.
Sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato fries. I love with a little brown sugar on top.
That sounds good. A little truffle.
Oh my God, stop. I need to eat dinner after this.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Same. Now, final question we got for you. Wait, no, I can't. I got to come back to it. Wait, what was it? Guilty pleasure song. There we go.
I still don't know, but I did used to sing like Lisa Loeb Stay. I used to love that song. It's kind of cheesy, but
okay. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. If it warms your heart, that's all that matters, you know?
Yeah. And it's good for, singing, getting your vocals going. Because I used to sing with my family and now I haven't sung as much over the years. I was taking some lessons with Carrie Golden because I'm trying to get my voice back to where it was, but it definitely takes some practice. But just songs that are touching Emotional, cheesy. Let's do it.
Love that. Hey, if it's heartwarming, that's great.
Yep.
And final question, before I die, I want to blank.
Before I die, I want to, oh my gosh, like one thing, just one thing. Oh my gosh. I want to create my surf and music boutique festival. That's
Oh,
it's a dream. It's a dream, but yeah, so I want it to come to life.
that would be an incredible festival. I'll be keeping my eyes out for the dates and for the lineup.
Yeah,
So-
it's surf destination and music, and so focused on a little bit of health and wellness, but a little bit of party, but just a lot of surfing and a lot of beautiful music, different genres, not just house music and live music and stuff like that.
I love that. Well, Tara Brooks, thank you so much for joining us on our Gray Area Artist Spotlight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Austin. This was super fun. I appreciate it.
You have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.